Welcome to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we share time-tested strategies to turn your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. Ready to up-level your business and your life? Then you will love listening in on the lively conversations Ursula has with her clients and guests as they share exactly what they did to grow and scale their business exponentially. Plus, you will discover how to experience more freedom, joy, and peace in your business and your life right now. If turning your annual income into your monthly income is your next step, then join us at the next 2X Intensive. Go to ursulainc.co/apply.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we talk about turning your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. I'm your host, Ursula Mentjes, and I'm super excited to be doing a solo show today because today we're going to talk about 5 strategies to double your monthly sales while working way less. Not just a little bit, way less. And this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. It's what we do with our clients all the time. So definitely grab a pen, piece of paper, and get ready for the show because you're going to take a lot of notes. And I hope it gives you the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. Really quickly though, if you haven't yet, like if you're like, hey, I need more stuff. I'd love a free class. We do have our Quantum Revenue Expansion Masterclass available. It's on my website, www.ursulainc.co. Right on the homepage, just click on the button. It'll take you to the page. You can get all the details there. And in that masterclass, we go over 3 things. First, we talk about how to set up a quantum revenue container. Second, we talk about how to shift your prices and your packages. We see that's almost always in a service-based business and products. It's almost always an issue that you're underpriced. And then the third part of the class, we talk about how to really collapse time and get to the next level faster, which is about scaling your business. So it's a power-packed masterclass. If you haven't grabbed it yet, definitely do that. Also, some of you have been hanging out with us for a while. You're like, I've got the masterclass, Ursula. I hang out with you here. I hang out with you on YouTube, all the things. And I just want more. Totally feel you on that. And so if you're someone that's feeling like, I could really use some extra support, in more of a live setting where we get to interact back and forth. I feel like since the pandemic, it's just so much do-it-yourself online classes, but not this connection. It's still online, but it's live. So we would love to invite you to the 2X Intensive. And our clients have reported phenomenal results from taking that course. If you've been feeling the pull and you're like, yes, I want to dig into this work. I want to double the revenue for sure and start to work less, which we're going to talk about today. But if you're like, I just want to spend some time with you guys, you and Rebecca doing that over 2 days, go to ursulainc.co/apply. This is all in the show notes. You can send in a quick application. It's the 2X application page. Send us some quick information. And then someone on my team will contact you and we'll get a time set up for you to talk to me or talk to Rebecca about whether or not the 2X is a great fit for you. I'm guessing if you feel the pull, like if you want to grow your revenue and you want to grow your team and you want to work less, it's probably a great fit for you. So definitely hit that application button and send us your info. All right. So today, super excited. Again, we're really going to dig into the 5 strategies to double your monthly revenue while working way less. And why I love this topic and why I'm invited to speak on it often is because there's a limiting belief in the business world that if you're going to double your revenue, that must mean you have to double your workload, right? That must mean you have to work even more. And I already know business owners are working a lot. And here's what I do. I know for sure. We had a client one time who showed up in our world. He was working 100 hours per week. And he knew he was counting them. And he'd grown his business. Excuse me, let me have a little sip of tea. He'd grown his business to $500,000. And somewhere along the lines, he'd taken sales camp. And I think he went from 250 to 500 after sales camp. So really grew his sales. By the way, self-described, not a salesperson, more of an engineer. So that was a huge accomplishment for him to grow into this sales career as well as being the person, the engineer. What was great about that though, is he could teach other people, right? He could bring in other salespeople to teach He could teach them how to sell what he sells because he could do it. Like he was an engineer who could sell. Not that that's a rarity, but I don't need a lot of engineers who are also great salespeople. And he wasn't when he met us. That's something that he grew into. And so when he came back to us, he said, look, Ursula, like I've grown to $500,000, but I'm working 100 hours a week and I can't maintain that. I was like, who could maintain that, right? That's exhausting. And I said, well, what do you really want? Because here's the key. Here's the key, right? You got to be clear on what you want. You have to be not just a little bit clear, but like crystal clear on your next revenue expansion goal. Because when you're not, you waste a lot of time doing things that aren't a fit for you. You waste a lot of time doing the same things over and over again when they're not working, which is the definition of insanity. You just get stuck. And so I said to him, I'm like, what do you want? What do you want? Like, not just the, oh, I kind of want this. I'm like, what's your next level? And he said, it's a double. He said, it's breaking through 7 figures, no question, while working less. So I was like, perfect. So he came to the 2X intensive, and during the 2 days, he just got crystal clear on what his blocks had been, like what was really pulling him, what was really distracting him, and taking up all of his time. He made the decision, right? He got really clear that the next level was $1 million. And then he did decide to hire. Now, he had engineers on his team. He had people on the delivery side, but he had no one on the admin side. There was no one supporting him at all. So of course he was working 100 hours. So we just got really clear on that. And during the 2X, he realized how much it was costing him to not add people to his team. And this is where it gets a little bit like, what do you mean? Well, we find with our clients that it can cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, because there's a multiplier effect, there's a compound effect when you hire. So hundreds of thousands of dollars to not hire. And as you're sitting there right now, it's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars to not hire. The myth, which we'll talk a little bit about today too, the limiting belief is that if, hiring is going to cost me a lot or I have to hire a full-time person. Well, we live in a time when that's just not even close to being true. There are so many people, there's so many virtual assistants, there's so many people available that want a part-time schedule now, especially coming out of the pandemic. Like for employers, it's a gold mine of talent that's available to you. And it's not a W-2 person unless you need that. Okay. So you really gotta look at it. For this particular person, he did need a full-time person. And so it was a no-brainer. And the write-off, you hire someone, but it's a write-off, right? Like especially for him, like his revenue, he could afford it. There was no issue there. So he hired an executive assistant, and she came in, started doing all the things, and he went from working 100 hours a week to 40, and she maintained a 40-hour or less work week. Okay. So there was this 100 hours that now was like 40 and 40 split between 2 people. So where did that other 20 hours go? It was just gone. That other 20 hours just disappeared because his executive assistant put in processes, systems, SOPs that ensured everything was running smoothly. So when you hire someone who knows how to do all these things already in your company, right, then you can just take a leap. And in less than a year, he hit $1 million, actually broke through the $1 million mark. I share this with you as a place to begin because there's just so many myths and lies about hiring and how much it's going to cost me. And like, it's going to take time to train people. Yeah, it is, but there's ways to do it, right? That will save you time. So put all of that aside. What I want you to know is that if it's possible for this person that I just shared with you to do it, to go from 100 hours a week to 40 and to hire an assistant who's only working 40, it's possible for you too. It's possible for every single person who's listening to grow and scale their business. And if you're sitting here right now listening to this and this is resonating, like you're meant to be here, you're meant to hear this today. All right. So we're going to dive into the 5 strategies. And I invite you to listen with fresh ears. Like you, I'm sure have heard some of these things before, but I want you to listen as if this is the first time you're hearing them, because you'll hear them in a different way. And my invitation is for you to identify 1 to 2 like aha moments or breakthroughs or things that you're like, I have to take action on that and take action confidently because I know it's going to move me forward. That's what I want you to listen for. Okay? Because when you listen for those things, that's what's going to catapult you. That's what's going to give you that quantum leap that you're looking for right now. All right. Strategy number 1, and I love strategies because these are things you can implement immediately. Strategy number 1 is to create an upgraded revenue container. Okay. What do I mean by an upgraded revenue container? It sounds so fancy. I love the idea of containers. I don't know if you've ever been to the Container Store, for example. There's like, there's a container for everything. I look around my office. I don't have that many containers, but I like things to have a place. I like things to have a home. Even if it's messy in their home, I'll be honest. Like people come to my house and they're like, oh, you're such a minimalist. Your house is so clean. And I'm the type that's like, don't look in the containers, right? Don't look in the drawers. It's a little messy in there, but it's contained. And I know where things are. A revenue container is simply a projections worksheet. Some people might say revenue model. It's a place where you build out your revenue for the year, which then you can bring it to a model month, or you can start with a model month. And I love that container as well. We created something called the model month template, which is where all of our clients begin when they come to the 2X intensive. Before they get to the 2X intensive, they fill out the model month template. And it is your dream of month. It's the month that would catapult you to the next level. So for example, with the client I was sharing before, his model month template was going from $40,000 a month, which was a $500,000 a year. It's like 44,000 and some change, right? To $83,333 a month and some change. 83. So that's a $1 million business. But his model month was going from 44,000 to 83,000 ish, around there. Not sure if this, yeah. Anyway, so he wanted to be at $1 million, and we first built the model month around his $1 million year by looking at 1 month, one standalone month. And that is your upgraded revenue container. I find that if I say to someone like they want to go from 250,000 to like 750,000, and we try to look at their annual revenue, that can feel kind of overwhelming. Whereas if you are, if you're just looking at 1 month or, one standalone month snapshot of that, it's easier to wrap your brain around. So that's why we start there. And even for you in this moment, right? Think about how much revenue you've been averaging per month. And then think about like how much you would want to be at per month, because that starting here is so important. Whenever I'm sitting with a client, it's like, where are you now and where do you want to go? Because that's the roadmap. Once we create that model month, we can see the roadmap to get there. But until you have that, it's kind of like, it's kind of fuzzy. It's like a good guess. It's like, this would be great. But I'm not sure, I'm not quite sure how to get there. And so when we work with our clients, that piece and making the decision that this is where I want to be is really important. I did say that, I kind of glossed over that, but you really do need to make a decision and get all in. By the way, I had to clarify my numbers. I got to go back. $500,000 is 41,000 a month, right? And for my people that they're listening, are like, those numbers weren't right. 44,000. No, it's 41,000 gets us to $500,000, and 83,000 gets us to $1 million. I was right about that one. So anyway, just wanted to make sure all the math was right. Going back, being in the curiosity and the inquiry is fun. And it's exciting. Like I do see a lot of people though that kind of get stuck thinking about it. Like, oh, I wish I was at, 83,000 a month. Wish I was at $1 million business. I wish I was at whatever that amount. And that's where people can stop. It's like exciting to think about, but we never take the next step. That's why once you have your model month and you know what it looks like, then you want to make the decision. The root of the word decide means to close the door and everything else. So you decide to get all in. You make the decision that no matter what, this is where we're going. This is the next level. And so I just wanted to make sure like you got that part, because without the clear revenue container, the clear goal, and the decision, okay, those go hand in hand, you kind of can just get stuck. All right. So that's strategy number one, create an upgraded revenue container. Strategy number two is to release your number one limiting belief around scaling and growing your business. So again, release your number one limiting belief around growing and scaling your business. Now, if you've been hanging out with the podcast for a while, I've done entire shows, or even on my YouTube channel, which is in the show notes below, you'll find that I've done, there's a lot out there that I've done around limiting beliefs. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time around that. But if this is an area that you're like, oh, I need some help with limiting beliefs, like I don't believe this at all, definitely check out some of those other shows that I've done, or shorts. Here's the way to really get some traction around this limiting belief, is to think about your annual stretch goal, right? Think about the one that you've just set, the one that like feels outside for you, okay? When you think about that goal, what is the first like negative belief that comes up for you? Like there's no way I could do it because of X, or that's for other people. A big one is, and this is kind of why, one of the main reasons I want to do the show, is one of the main reasons is because people think they're going to have to work all the time. They're like, Ursula, I don't want to do it. Like my belief is I'm going to be working all the time. So to hack this limiting belief, we have to ask ourselves, what's not true about that? What's not true about the belief that if I double my business, I'm going to have to work all the time? Well, what's not true is that you won't be working all the time when you have a team, right? So part of scaling is adding to the team, and then also adding systems and processes that make you and your company more efficient. And when you do that, your work should actually go down as systems, processes, team go up. It should. If it doesn't, there's something out of balance, there's something off, or you're just taking on more work to do more work. I'm not really sure, but that's the piece. And so in the example of this limiting belief, when you start to look at what's not true about it, you start to see the other possibilities. And you start to see the truth, which the truth is when I hire, right? When I hire and my team builds systems and processes that work, my workload goes down, down, down. Okay. Now, of course, it depends on the size of the company. It depends on your next quantum leap and what you're doing. And maybe there's other things that you're adding to your plate that are your zone of genius that you really want to be doing. So maybe your work doesn't go down that much. We have another client who she's grown her company from 8,000 a month on her way to 50,000 a month. She's added quite a few team members. She has always maintained her 20 to 25 hour work week with Fridays off. Always, because that was one of the things that was really important to her. She's got a child. She wanted to make sure that, she didn't lose the harmony that she loves to have in her life, right? She also didn't take on the limiting belief that she was going to have to work a lot more if the company grew. She just decided she wouldn't do that. So that's where you start to see like that limiting belief isn't even true. And so for you in this moment, you might want to take a note around that. Like, what do I believe about growing my business to this next level? What's my number one limiting belief? Or even what I just shared, like, do you think if you grow your company, you're going to have to work a lot more? Like, think about that. And then again, like, what if that's not true? What if there's a way to grow the business that involves you working a lot less? This is one of the things we work with our clients on frequently, right? We are in their business talking with them about, working less, like what has to come off the plate, and then who they're hiring. And Rebecca Hall, master coach at Ursula Inc., she works intimately with our clients on that piece, on who to hire, how to train them, and not only how to train them, but how to systematize the training so you don't have to keep doing it. So there's lots of ways that you can make this process easier. You might just need some help doing it, right? And And that's what we see with the clients who show up in our world. It's like they were willing to raise their hand and say, I don't know how to do some of these parts of the business, but I know that I need help right now. And I know that if I get the help I need, I'm going to take a quantum leap in my business. And that's exactly what happens. Strategy number 3 is to decide to double and scale your business. Now, you've heard me talk about decide a little bit already. It truly is making the decision to double the business and also making the decision that I'm going to scale. Like I am scaling this business to the next level. I'm not just going to grow it. I am scaling. And scaling means I'm hiring, I'm putting systems, team, processes in place so that the company can run without me. Like that's the ultimate goal. We had a client this summer who was gone for a month. Like his goal was to have his team in place so that he could be gone for the month of July and the company could run itself. Now, this was back in January, the January before the July that he set the goal. And he did it, which was amazing to witness, right? He was clear what needed to happen. And that's the test, right? Could I be out of my business for a month and would the business still be running when I came back? And what would have to happen in between to make that happen? That's a fun thing to think about, but it's also a way, I like to think in the world of quantum, it's also a way to take a quantum leap. Like when you can step into that future version of your company where you're not working all the time or maybe at all, and your company is still running, now you have a company. Now you have a business that you could actually sell if you wanted to. Now you have a business that is producing revenue, whether you're there or not. Like that's the ultimate goal. That's why we do what we do in terms of looking at not only growing the business, but scaling it. So strategy number 3, I won't spend a lot of time on this, like just got to make the decision. Am I in? Am I 100% in on like, this is it? I'm going to grow the business and scale it so that I could leave if I wanted to, or I could sell it. You got to decide. Because if you're stuck in indecision, your company's going to reflect that. It's going to feel kind of wonky. It's not going to grow. You're going to just be stuck at the same income ceiling. Like if that's where you've been, you just got to step into it. You got to make the decision. Strategy number 4 is to develop a consistent lead generation system. You're like, of course, Ursula, thanks for that. Yeah. You'd be surprised though, that so many business owners that we talk to do not have a consistent lead generation system. It's sort of like it goes in spurts. It works for a little bit and then it doesn't work, or we're not consistently putting effort or time or money into it and then it's not working. And so you want to like look at that word consistent. When we work with our clients, we're always looking at how they're marketing. In fact, we have something called the marketing matrix. It's a worksheet that they fill out continually. It's actually an Excel worksheet that populates, and it's beautiful. We have fine-tuned this thing for so long so that when you put the information in, you can see where the leads are coming from, right? So that you're constantly tracking where the leads are coming from, what kind of marketing is working and what's not working. Because we see with a lot of clients too, that they're doing marketing, they're spending money, but they don't know where the leads are coming from, or they're not sure what's working. So you want to be tracking that. If you're like, I don't even know where to start with this, the best place to begin is to ask yourself, what are the 3 ways that I'm marketing consistently? The 3 ways. And once you have those and you're tracking those and you can see what's working, then you can build from there. Or what's the first way that I'm marketing consistently, and then I'm tracking that and how can I grow from there? So that's what you want to be looking at. And then strategy number 5 is to create intentional and confident sales conversations. Create intentional and confident sales conversations. Now, I get some of you might sell online, maybe you don't have as many conversations, but most of the people that show up in our world do have conversations with their prospects, their prospective clients. And there's one key word that I just said that I want to make sure you're hearing. So once the leads are coming in, and maybe they're coming in from referrals, maybe they're coming in from online ads, maybe they're coming in from JV partners, like whatever it is, however they're coming in, you or your sales team or whoever's doing the selling, you want to be confident in that sales conversation, okay? The reason is because out of all the things that I see in selling, this is the piece that often gets missed, is this idea of the energy exchange. And when people sense your confidence that you can solve their problem or meet their need, they're sold. And it doesn't mean you're doing a lot of talking. In fact, if you've ever been to one of our sales camp trainings, you know that we show our clients how to ask powerful, open-ended, goal-related, and pain-related questions. And literally, if you had 3 to 6 really great open-ended questions about the pain they're experiencing and the goals that they have, and you're asking these open-ended questions very confidently, letting them answer, and then you confidently show them how you can solve their problem or meet their need, they'll probably buy from you. We can overcomplicate the sales process in so many ways. And so I just want you to see that it can be an easy process in terms of how to confidently have a sales conversation and close more sales. And by the way, if this is an area where you're a little bit like I'm struggling here, just know this: if you decide to come to the 2X Intensive, you get sales camp, digital sales camp included in your package, which means you can immediately start with the sales training and then come to the 2X Intensive. All right, so let me review the 5 strategies we talked about. Number 1, create an upgraded revenue container. Get that revenue container really rocking and clear and concise. Second, release your number 1 limiting belief around scaling your business. Like whatever it is you believe about why you can't, you've got to let that go. 3, make the decision to double and scale. Decide means to close the door on everything else. You got to make the decision. Like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. When you do that, the next step always shows up. Number 4, develop a consistent lead generation system. And number 5, create intentional and confident sales conversations that close. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I hope you took lots of notes and that there were some big takeaways that you're going to be able to walk away with. And also, as I mentioned, if you're feeling the pull and you want to come and hang out with us, we would love to work with you and your business and really see how, like, what it's going to take for you to take that quantum leap you're looking for. And again, you can go to ursulainc.co/apply. It's also going to be in the show notes. Send some information in and we'll get an appointment on the calendar to talk to you about whether or not the 2X is a good fit for you. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. Thanks for hanging out, and I wish you your most epic month yet. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us today. And if you are ready to make your next quantum leap, let's do it. Ursula invites you to join us at the 2X Intensive. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.